Hello traders, very good afternoon and welcome to today's post-market analysis episode by Tradeducation. This is episode 94. And before I go through, before I share today's analysis, I would just like to go through the quick disclaimer that trading involves substantial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Also, the information which I'm sharing is for educational purposes only and cannot be used for any trade-related activity. So with that, let's quickly look at, how the auction developed today. And let me just, quickly share my screen. So currently what we are looking at is the daily time frame, the daily chart. And what we are seeing is that, the volumes are, massively increasing. Okay. So what happened today is, so basically, I think yesterday I did have mentioned. So basically, something changed yesterday. I don't know whether you guys have observed or not. What has changed it? So basically, yesterday the auction opened with a big gap down. Okay, so this was the low of the 18th of March, and yesterday on 19th it opened with a big gap down. It went and then it filled the gap. So this is the first time wherein the gap was filled. So this indicated that now sellers are getting exhausted, and buyers are the ones who will be coming in, and they will maybe take the auction tomorrow or maybe the next week. Okay, so the reaction is what we are seeing in today's auction development in Nifty and also in Banknifty. So in Nifty, Banknifty, both both the opened with gap down, and once the gap got filled, what we are seeing is we are seeing now continuation to the higher side, basically meaning that lower value is not getting accepted at all. Today the value has shifted higher. Okay, so basically the auction has entered that 5 day or the 6 day range which was trading earlier. Okay, so what has happened is, so this is the open, or from the split view chart, this is where the auction opened. And so today I was not able to take any trades because I was busy in meetings from 7 till 2. So 7 in the morning till 2 p.m. I was just, I had a very hectic day today, and now I have got a couple of more meetings starting from 5 till 11 in the night. Okay. So that's why I was not able to take any trade today in Nifty, Bank Nifty. I did some trade. I did a very small trade in crude oil, and I made some loss. You can refer to the Google sheet, my account, in the description link below to know more about that. Okay. So what has happened in Nifty today is, so this is where the auction opened, and the immediate point of reference should be the yesterday's point of control. Okay. Plus, there were two distributions. So what was happening is the open was within the this distribution number one, and it was not going to the distribution number two. Okay. So in the A, B, C, okay, so nothing was happening. It was just moving sideways. Okay. So many people were anticipating, okay, so yesterday there was a new sentiment. There will be curfew for 1 day, and plus the coronavirus cases are increasing in India. So higher the odds that there is some sideways movement, and then we'll be seeing some downfall. Is what many of the people might have anticipated. But what had happened is, the auction immediately moved in the opposite direction, and then it was showing acceptance above. Okay. One of the reason, so that is, this is the first thing. Second thing is, did you has anyone of you asked why we opened with a gap? Why we opened within yesterday's range? Why not open gap down? Why not open around the lows? The reason is, the global markets have slowly started recovering. The crude oil, which was trading at $20, right now it's around 25 or $26. Okay. So the crude has, is showing some direction that, the markets are, improving, but beware, more downfall is imminent. This might be a sort of a pullback, which we are receiving. So don't just jump into the boat, to just, take the long trade. Okay. So this is where the auction opened, and, you should have monitored what is happening within the range. Okay. The IB range. So once the breakout happened, this would give you an additional confirmation that yes, now buyers are strong, and the next monitoring reference should shift to the high of the yesterday, that is of the 19th of March. Okay. So this was a good trade location wherein you could take on a long trade, targeting this double print. Okay, and that's where the today's high was spent, and that's where the sellers again try to came in. Okay, so right now what I'm seeing is the buyers are now coming back, and right now this particular level is the major swing low for the current auction. So what I'm expecting now is some sideways movement, because now I would be looking for some overlapping value. If the value again comes down, then higher the odds that this reference will also be getting tagged and further downfall is imminent, can be seen. Okay, so this is what is happening in Nifty. From the VSA chart also, there were a couple of very good trades. If you missed out, so what the VSA chart was telling us is look for a long opportunity. The reason is the overall delta was above zero, so the delta was positive. So, okay, the cumulative delta was positive. And second thing is the location was this is where the location was, wherein the auction was was not able to go down. Okay, and second thing is, so this was the higher high and this was the lower low. Okay, second location is once this higher high was broken, so around this level, where you could have taken a long trade, and you could have made this way, or you could have just used the VWAP to basically continue, or trail your profits. Okay, and this is where the from the delta chart, this is where you might be getting some hints that we can exit now. Okay, because this was the higher and this was the higher and this was the higher low. So once this got broken, then you could have exited the trades. So do use some simple price action. It will help you a lot in terms of trading, and keeping yourself be safe during such volatile movements. Okay. Now, so yeah, so this is the dynamic volume profile chart, and what has happened is the auction has entered the 5-day range, and now what we are seeing here is, okay, so the volume point of control has shifted down, so that is not a good sign. Now what I'll be observing is this particular level, the 8538.4, so 8540 level should be acting as the level of support for now. If this breaches, then higher the odds that will be again tagging the low of the balance. Okay, so one thing is you can take a long trade, keep your target at the value area high, that is 9436, and your stop loss at this point of control. Okay, but just wait for the Monday's auction, and let's see how the auction opens and how it develops. Okay, moving on to Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty also the volumes are pretty good, and in Bank Nifty what we are seeing is we are having a sort of a sideways value formation. Okay, plus we have found a lower, I would say a higher low, and we have clustered highs. Okay, so what now I'm seeing is higher the odds, so inventory is going short to too short, condition one. Condition two is we have this clustered highs. Okay, now what is happening is, so basically the laggards are now trying to come in and they are trying to short at every rise, is what I'm getting a hint from the market profile chart. Okay, and second thing is yesterday in the Bank Nifty there were also again two, it was sort of a double distribution. So this was the first distribution and this was the second distribution, and the auction opened within the second distribution. Okay, so it opened in the, so this opened in the first distribution, then it immediately went to the second distribution, but we did not see any continuation to the downside. Okay, so if it opened in the second distribution, the monitoring reference would be the yesterday's low or this HVN. So none of them, got tagged. And what happened is like A, then the B and the C and the D, so then in the E and in the F period is where, you got a sort of a poor high. This would give you an indication that yes, now, the market will take a U-turn, and, that's what happened. And I'm surprised that it did not tag the yesterday's high. Okay, so basically at visual references, so again I shared that 21,000 level is a visual reference which I'm seeing in Bank Nifty, where everyone is coming and trying to sell at that level. Okay, because this was the level of support which got turned into resistance. Okay, so this was a major swing low, and now this is acting as the resistance. So people will be using this, and so yesterday there was one time, and today there is one more time wherein a sharp rejection was seen from this level. So what I'm expecting now is higher the odds that if the Monday's auction opens within the range, then I'm expecting to have a sharp tempo and hit the stops and maybe clear the single prints which is developed here. Okay, so in Bank Nifty we have sideways value forming. Okay, so that is a good sign indicating that yes, now both the buyers and sellers are have came to an equilibrium, and now both are matching. So now the fight has started. Earlier the fight was with the sellers. Now let's see how long buyers are holding the fort. Okay, so from the VWAP, sorry, the VSA chart, there were also a couple of good trade entries. So VSA, since the morning was giving no clarity. Okay, so what I was doing is I was just monitoring the high and the low. Once this high got broken, okay, so I was just waiting whether we get a touch, whether we get a pullback to the VWAP, which did not happen. So there was no trade for me, in Bank Nifty, even though it was telling me that the buyers are strong, but I did not saw any good trading opportunity from the VSA chart. Okay, so this is the analysis for Bank Nifty. Now moving to Reliance. So what is happening in Reliance is, okay, so one of the major reference areas which I was having was this swing low. Okay, that is why we have this horizontal line. And yesterday what we had formed is we had a sort of a normal distribution curve. Okay, and we also had a prominent point of control. So what happened is the auction opened within this range, then your immediate reference should be the high, and it was just sideways movement. And once it tagged the high, or then you could have taken a long trade, keeping the target of the 18th of March, the high of 18th of March. So the Reliance was sort of one time framing up, and it is showing that buyers have now stepped in. Okay, so there are also the couple of single prints here. So maybe stop hunting has been going on. That's why overall structure is not uniform. It's a bit rough. And now what I'm expecting is, do we see any further continuation to the upside, or do we see some sideways development? Is what I'm anticipating to be happening in Reliance. Okay, and from the VSA chart also there were a couple of good trades, trade entry or trade locations. So one trade location was we just marked the high. Okay, anyways the cumulative delta was positive. So this was one trade location. This was the second trade location wherein you could have taken a trade. If you are a safe trader like me, just wait for this delta to break. So maybe around this level, where you could have taken a long trade, keeping this as your stop loss, and maybe this or this as your target. Okay. So this is one, and this is two, and this is three. So 1:2 or 1:3, as per your risk taking ability, you could manage the trade. Okay. So that's what happened in Reliance. And Maruti. What is happening is, so Maruti, there was a big gap. Okay, so this was the gap, and which I think today it was trying to get filled, but it did not happen. So Maruti is showing signs that buyers are strong, but even selling is also strong. And what has happened is, so this was a major swing low, and then this was tagged once. So now what buyers have to do is, the auction should not come to this level, this 4800 levels. If it comes there again, then higher the odds that selling will be increasing, and then we'll be seeing furthermore downfall. Okay, so this might be a sort of a pullback. So basically, this was the balance. Okay, so it went below the balance, it came within the balance, and now what I'm seeing is this might be a pullback, and maybe we'll be seeing furthermore continuation to the downside. Okay, so not much clarity which I have in Maruti. And now let me jump to crude oil. So what has happened in crude is, I'll just tell you is, so yesterday during the US session, so this is the US session, and I shared it in the Telegram channel and also on my website about around 10 p.m. in the night. So yesterday in the US session, what has happened is buyers, they were pretty strong. They came in after 10, and they took out the high. So this was the US session of the 18th of March. This was the US session on the 19th of March. Okay. And second thing is today we see a big gap of opening in the US market for the crude oil. Okay. So this is the overnight session, and what we see here is so this is the open. Okay. Then there was a sort of one-time framing for ABC period, and then we saw some sharp rejection. So basically a sort of retouch. So I was just looking at why the auction basically halted here. Okay, the reason why the auction halted here is, so if you see this level is nothing but this poor high. So once this poor high and once this gap got filled, okay, so this was a good indication wherein this was basically a stop hunting activity. So basically the auction was trying to enter the range of the 18th of March. Okay, 18th of March overnight session, and we saw a rejection here. So this should give you a hint that okay, this is a good opportunity to take a long trade, keeping your target for this. So this line is the developing point of control, and the second target of maybe this high or maybe this single print. Okay, so that's where I was looking forward to take a long trade, and what I did is if you see this line. So this line is nothing but the point of control of the 17th of March US session. Okay. So what I was doing is I was measuring the confidence around this level. So first of all, there was a rejection seen, then the auction moved down, and then sharp acceptance was seen. Okay. So once this sharp acceptance came in, once this came in, so around 2150 levels is where I took a long trade, and I kept my stop loss of at this half back level. Okay, so 2120. So this was a 30-point stop loss which I kept, which was hit right in the next period. Then what happened is then again auction was trying to develop around yesterday's or basically this level. So that's where again I went for a long trade, keeping my target of this single print. Okay, and so from 2145 I entered, sorry, 2155 I entered, and then I exited around 2180. Okay, so the loss which was here I was able to cover up, and then I exited the position. So I made a loss, but it's still I covered the majority part of it. So I would say around 50% of it has been covered. I'm still in the 50% loss, and then what has happened is around this level, this is the level where exhaustion was seen, and then now the auction is just trying to go down and clear the levels or the stops which are built here. Okay, so on the overnight session, what I'm anticipating is mark this level and see if we see auction going above this level. If yes, then we might be seeing continuation to the upside, tagging this low. If not, then mark the high, mark the low of today. This is the overnight session. Okay, and see where the auction opens in the US session. Okay, so this is the thought process which I have for trading crude oil. And with that, I would like to say thank you to all, and would request you to please do like, subscribe, and share, to my channel. And let's again connect on Monday. Second thing is, guys, do take care during the coronavirus. So there are a lot of fake news, a lot of things are going on. So I would request you to please do work from home, or please, if you're a student, study, or invest your time in teaching yourself, learning new courses, or investing in yourself, because this is the right time wherein your pressure is less, and no one is there to boss you around. You are your own boss. So utilize this 2 weeks which you have, and be a good trader. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do every day. Okay, so with that, thank you, and ending this today's session, and let's again connect on Monday and see what happens. Yeah, take care. Thank you, and bye for now.